Unfortunately, today's architecture, not just India, all over, is more run by technology and contractors and builders. I tell them, talk to the brick. He'll tell you how to build. Talk to the cement, will take you out tomorrow. Materials must talk to art. Once materials talk to art, what you call avatar happens to that place.
He had a deal with his mom. If you give me a bike, then I'll do whatever you want me to do. So I just realized that he had a triumph. And one lucky architect, who he doesn't know, has basically, in his absence, exchanged that for...
Went to Japan for some place. Japan I found very methodical and tack. It was a little too much. But they were very smart. I said, in India, it is order and chaos. There they collect all the chaos and make it into order. This is my philosophy.
So what is it like to grow up in that kind of an era where, architecture and modern architecture is picking up, becoming popular? So what is it that keeps you going?
90% of humans who overlooked at slavery were people who gave people simply like prison. They made sure they ate, they made sure they worked. Whereas when you intern your own slavery, you need somebody to give you work. You need somebody to do it. You become a slave of yourself into somebody else's life. Design defines with discipline. Architecture explores with philosophy. That is my core. In fact, sometimes I said, architects in a way are gods. There and you are there. It can happen without you, but you are the one who brings the entire perspective of human life into reality.
So, Creative Spark Plug is a black book of creative journeys. In this podcast, we speak with creative individuals, and record their stories. It gives insight into creative lives. It provides inspiration for the young. And it nourishes the ones feeling challenged. That's why we do this.
Welcome to another episode of Creative Spark Plug. Today we are talking to Professor and Architect Jaisim-Rao, Krishnarao Jaisim. I think everybody knows you, so I will not be introducing you more than this. But it's a pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
Pleasure.
And I'm sure we'll have a great time recording with you. So over to you, sir. I think we'll start from wherever you want to start.
No, I want to run to the chase.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Right? Because I've been hearing things and listening to these stories that is already there online. Multiple people have been curious about him. He started off in Chennai, and his mother said that, all your siblings are gone now. You need to take up architecture. And that's how he said, okay, I'm Marx, I don't care about. So that's how he took his bike and went. But there's this little anecdotal story about the bike. He had a deal with his mom. If you give me a bike, then I'll do whatever you want me to do. Right? So I just realized that he had a triumph. Right? And one lucky architect, who he doesn't know, has basically, in his absence, exchanged that for a Royal Enfield.
Traded it without knowing.
Yeah. I wish I knew this. I would have traded it myself and taken it away. But he doesn't know where his Triumph is anymore. It's a legendary Second World War bike. In which case, from there, and after that he took his bike, went to an architect, in those days 5 architecture colleges, and said that, my mom sent me here, literally. And he said, and he wasn't carrying anything. So when they said that you're in, so they're like, I haven't given you anything for me to be in. No interview, no exam, what happened? And then he was like, no, you're in. This is your, come. So that's how he started off, and he was doing fine, and he was curious and doing his own thing about being curious and looking up architects, meeting them. And then he ended up at an architecture firm, and without knowing who he was by the way, when this architect walks in, everybody stood up, but he didn't know who the architect was, right? So he continued to sit. So he's like, who is that fellow? Now this architect sees there's a room full of people standing up to attention, and our man is sitting there. And I am imagining this kid who's sorted, but he has his agenda in place, who's sitting there. Say, who is he? So what do you want? He said, I want to meet so-and-so. Like, come. So he's still not confirmed. Of course, he hasn't got the validation that is the architect, right? And he goes inside and he gets his job the next day. So he starts working without getting a degree. I think that is what let out the belief that he doesn't have a degree. But how he got the degree is also fascinating.
That will hear from him.
No, he's put it out there already. So 4 years he was working. Then he got a call from his principal saying that, boss, you're not coming to school. What's wrong with you? I mean, what is your idea? What do you plan to do? So he was like, listen, I'm learning so much here and I'm not craving the learning of the college anymore. So I'm continuing here. So the next day he gets a call from his vice chancellor. He says, you come. So, okay, so this is what it is. You're having fun. You're already practicing architecture. This is your certificate. So that's how Mr. Jaisim got his architecture certificate. I think his 4 years of working was assumed to be as good as his thesis would have been in the final year.
That is an option that is there available even today.
Right.
If you have some 8 to 10 years experience with...
Good, I'm glad to hear if it is really true. It's really
That's
right.
what I was told, that it is, if you...
It should be there, no? Because
you should all talk to the council. Again, with council at the moment is a very listening factor. But they can't.
The only thing that I would say to that, if I hear it, if it is as you said it, is the fact that there should be a framework of what has been produced in those years and not time capped.
Yeah.
You know, somebody will pull phenomenal work in a year, somebody will strive and take 10 years, and that's both of them should be all right. It's about what do you produce and what have you provided. I mean, how good are you as value to society at large? I mean, if I can put it.
No, very true. Because as I told you, when you said that, I be blunt. Sri Krishna Chittalayan said, go to the university, do the building. Lakshman Swami Mudaliar was the vice chancellor, one of the top vice chancellors in that country. I didn't know who he was. So he passed. He said, who's this youngster looking at the building? Sir, he is the one representing the company. Then he said, call in, said, you finished the drawings? I said, yes, sir. Okay, sign. I said, sir, I can't sign. He said, why? I'm not a qualified architect. But you made all the sketches? Yes. Looked at me again. Called the office of what Bharat and few people are my seniors, they call. Yes, sir, he did everything. Called his secretary. Gave him his degree. Then I went back to office. Chitra said, nice, you got everything done. Sir, thank you very much. From tomorrow, you find somebody else. He thought, what do you mean, man? I said, I'm now free. Council can't stop me. I can't stop me. I can start my practice. At the time, the phenomena came because my brother had presented me the Fountainhead. That's why the office was finally formed, was called Jaisim-Fountainhead. Ayn Rand, philosophy of objectivism, projected me beyond boundaries of Howard Rock and writings and things to say the degree doesn't matter. That is only for you to sign. The real thing is, do you understand creative or understanding the elements in senses, and then to fuse it with the culture and history of that place. If you can do it, and with the environment, you are in a different world. That's what started off the practice in 1970s, after 4 years from 1966. And I'm very happy they failed me for 4 years. Had they not failed me, I would have joined, probably done an MArch or gone abroad or studied something. That would have been remarkable. In fact, as you said, those 4 years were the greatest learning experience. And the first 5 years, I was a very, I don't want to use the word naughty. I just go because of the motorcycle to college. I became president of the Students Association. Because of president of Students Association, I met the great lady who was the All India President Union of Youngsters. You know whom I'm saying?
Are you talking about late Indira Gandhi?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know I was sitting next to her. I wish I had not. I would have buttered her up nicely. You are impossible. Very smart, powerful lady. I've never seen another person like her in my life. That's one started off. Had I buttered her, I would have got probably the big project. But then I had a lot of projects coming ahead. Shipping Corporation.
I'm curious about this bit, sir, because there was a big, you were politically relevant while you were in school.
Yes.
Right?
True.
And you were meeting people from influential people that we know today.
Not just Indian, even foreigners.
Yeah. No, but in school, while he was the youth president, he was already meeting people like Indira Gandhi. And he was getting influenced.
People like Buckminster Fuller.
Kamraj Nadar and all. I used to go on the thing. And
so I wanted to ask about what happened to his political influence and when did he decide to drop that? Because he goes into practice, right? And what did he take away from there? Did the political aspect influence his work, or was it a prudent decision, or it's a matter of course? How did that happen?
In overall aspect, it was a matter of course. But being the president of the Students' Union, meeting these people and not knowing, another person who used to love me was because of my wife's grandfather. Rajgopalachari and Swatantra Party. They've started it. And somehow I liked, after reading Ayn Rand, the freedom of expression. That's what Swatantra Party was. That put me on to many people. Then Kamraj, somehow, I don't know where he talks only time. If you know Kamraj now, he was the chief minister on the bay. He somehow liked me. And because he liked me, there were other big politicians in Madras, especially Madras, really boosted me to higher levels. So, can you do this? Can you do this? I said, I'll do it only provided you don't interfere.
Right.
You tell me your requirement, you think. People call me as an arrogance. I said, you're talking to, you don't even know whom you're talking to. I said, he called me. I didn't call. We did those projects on that way of thinking. And I really liked the way he let him express. That's what Tamil Nadu had a very different way of politics and architecture thing. But when they came to know that my grandfather was also an architect, the respect was a little more. But I said he was from Liverpool, very British type of architecture, but very disciplined. I said discipline is in design. Architecture doesn't have discipline. It has a philosophy. That's the big difference between design and architecture, which many people do not understand or probably comprehend it another way. That is very, very crucial. That's why when he said, you don't really have to pass an exam to become an architect. It's over the number of years you spend. And if you spend a couple of years with another architect and then say, want the council or whatever it was. At that time, council had just joined. Only 4 people are members of the council. I said, who is this council to tell me I'm an architect? Then I declined their things till the rule was brought that unless you have a council membership, you cannot practice. My figure would have been 2 numbers or at maximum 3 numbers. Now it is 4 numbers. Because by the time everybody started applying, that became a thing. But I don't ever regret all these things. The fact is the history, understanding culture, because many people, K. N. Iyengar and others, are phenomenal teachers of history and culture, but they would get what you call is stuck in that history. As you said, they don't evolve from that history into the present, understanding technology. But unfortunately, what happened, many architects got stuck in technology without understanding the art. Luckily for me, some very great artists like M.S. Subbulakshmi singing, that again owe it to people, and people sketching paintings, and I remember names. I started understanding artists. That is when I met very good film directors and film actors and film. After they acted on the stage, I would just go and watch the Film Institute and they would National Defense. Forget those Defense Academy. Sitting down there, they would come and sit next to me. I said, big shot coming, sitting next to me like Shivaji Ganesha, Jamni Ganesha. And I said, Vita Gorela. That is stage. When I go there, great thing. That is stage. But in reality, I wanted to design my house for me.
Nice.
When Simha came, Krishna came, all these people. When I would skate, they would look at me and said, can it be built? I said, sir, I want. Because I would, as you know, like today, somebody is saying, say, are there sketch pads? Are there AI? I said, as you talked, I sketched. Because that's your dream. Now I want to talk with your wife, family, children, everybody. You may want this there. They may not want this there. I would look at them and start. They will also be happy. And the little fellow will come and say, some of them call you Tata. Once they know you're friendly and you give them, I won't use the word, you give them, when the father is not, give them a chip of beer to sip. I'll never forget my time. What have you scared? You will sketch. Believe it or not, the other day I was reading, there are some unbelievable people whom they can't think in a straight way generally. But when it comes to the art and glory, they're unbelievable. They can grasp 100 years of experience in minutes. I never believed it myself. But then my wife said, you're also sketching. You knew what he was building. You knew what he was, without even knowing. But when it comes to finance, she says, you have no clue any idea of finance. I said, I have no clue. That's your area of work. Understanding cost, efficiency, movement, spaces, that becomes part of the thing. This is when, after studying the British architecture and what brought from the north, I then went deliberately doing the shipping corporation building. I said, no, I must study. I went to Tanjore and many temples of India and to Hampi and then beyond Hampi. There were a lot of buildings beyond Mahabalipuram and all, which were historical. I would travel only to go to take my see what is the history and culture of India. Why were the temples having so many images? Was it projection? Yes, it was art projecting history in that place. But you started studying it because at that time I had a very fascinating friend from Egypt, one of the top architects in Egypt, as I was telling you. So he's a superman. He's come to advise Indian government. He came and saw my house on the beach. He said, whose house is it? He said, one architect. He walked in and said, this is my office. And I was taken. He said, go and sit in Hadders Road. That's where the government has given me an office. So I went and literally pulled me off. But he became a great, great friend.
Egyptian architect?
Egyptian.
Hassan Fateh?
No, that was Hassan Fateh was almost that time, but this man is even bigger.
Okay.
But he was advising the government of India. That's when I went. He said, go to Egypt. That 42 degrees, the sun.
Mhm.
People nowadays don't even know why pyramids are built in that particular angle, depending on the sun and the moon and the shape of how the degrees fall with shadowless empire. I really loved. This is what made me design. Respect him for that.
And was he specific to the climatology?
Very much up to a point, but
Or-
climatology to me was taught by somebody else later.
Okay.
Because somebody showed me the other day. I don't know. I was having fun and just went to the shelf and found this is
Otto
the Koenigsberger. Oh, you're bringing another great memory. He also liked it. Don't ask me why. The moment I said, oh, German, English, loved India. He started climatology. Then somebody else taught me climatology, and that's when I bought those books. Phenomenally written, small book, facts and things. How each area, the Earth is a fascinating place. Tropical, Antarctic, Arctic, European, the sun. It is very important in how people also know we are building a closed environment, whatever you might call it. So it can be controlled by technology. I said, now you're making technology rule your life. Where the art says there's a beautiful view there. And the art also says there's a lovely nature there. You need a balcony to appreciate it. And there's a beautiful lady walking there. You need appreciation of the person walking around the place, enjoying the space. And art, unfortunately, cannot express without technology. And technology can express without art. This is the conflict between engineers and architects. The artist can think, but he can't even paint without the paint. That's when technology smiles at you, the engineer smiles at you, the contractor smiles at you. He says, what can you do? And nothing. Whereas we can still build, unfortunately, today's architecture, not just India, all over, is more run by technology and contractors and builders. But here I must add a value to continue. What fascinated me was, I won't say names, most of these builders, when they wanted the personal home, at one or two, they'd be outside my office, sitting in a car waiting for me to go. I wouldn't know who. I said, you don't allow me to build your apartments and buildings. I said, this is for my home. My wife insisted that you should come. How we're taking you, tell me where site. I said, you can afford anything in this world. I said, I don't make working drawings or anything. You got to get somebody else or bring somebody from my office. Even today morning, Mukta called me and said, what are you sketching? So I used to sketch and tell him this is your home. And then bring me a small builder, not a big builder. The contractors, small builders became good friends, artist builders. I tell them, talk to the brick. He'll tell you how to build. Talk to the cement, will take you out tomorrow. Lime. Materials must talk to art. Once materials talk to art, and something, what you call avatar, happens to that place. Imagination rules, and technology fuses art with the culture and history of that place and of that person. You are the great fuser. In fact, sometimes I said, architects in a way are gods. You're not there and you are there. It can happen without you, but you are the one who brings the entire perspective of human life into reality. And then the journey starts. The person creates. It's a fusion. It's a phenomenal fusion.
So a few things I wanted to understand from you is when you were in college, that was in the 60s, and how long back was Fountainhead written? Was that in the recent time when you were in the college, or was it written much earlier than that?
Little earlier. I'll tell you why. It is not even my final, in my third year or fourth year, when my brother was in the army and things.
So the book was released then.
Yes, approximately released around 50s or 60s after the World War.
Was alive when you were in
Oh,
college.
yes. I'll tell you the story since you asked. Oh, gosh, you're bringing dangerous stories. Luckily, she's not there. My brother presented me the book Fountainhead as a birthday present. That's why that changed my attitude to the world. Then I read the book. Initially, I threw it because it was very fat.
Yeah, and it's very slow. So I'll just add a thing. So I think that was the only book that they told us as an architect you should read.
Yes.
So they would never say go read this book, read that book, but they said read Fountainhead. And Mr. Deepak Puri, with whom I interned even before I went to college, he said you read Fountainhead. There are only two things that will happen to you. You'll either fall in love with architecture or you will hate it the most.
Very true.
Fortunately or unfortunately, the former happened to me. I fell in love with architecture.
See.
And I read that book twice. Initially, it took me some effort to
read through,
past the first few chapters.
I'm glad.
But then I just couldn't leave it. And I read that book twice. I think was one in the first year and then in the third or fourth year, I guess. And I loved the book. But once you're done with the story of Ayn Rand, what we'd also like to understand is, or probably I'll ask you then. So let's hear your story on Ayn Rand.
Unfortunately, the Fountainhead was not available at that time. Because I used to go to the US Embassy quite often to help them. When they knew of the architect, the Madras Embassy, whatever you call the ambassador, he somehow liked me. He said, who is this youngster sitting in the thing reading? My brother said, I can't find the Fountainhead. Here is the Atlas Shrugged. But as you said, it was huge.
Yeah.
Somehow I would skip and read. Then he said, there's another smallest book she's written earlier called We the Living.
Yes.
He gave me. That brought light. Then the Fountainhead book, I couldn't stop it. But what happened to me was, I went to the embassy. I said, where is this Ayn Rand lady? They said somewhere in the US. Now she's run off from Russia. She's settled in the US. I said, can I have her address? You can't have her address directly, but the person whom she works, Norman or somebody, it'll come into the hand. And her secretary's number, I'll give you the address. I got it and I wrote to her, writing, believe it or not, within the week, I got a letter saying, Ayn Rand appreciates what I do. I hope the letter is somewhere. But she's asked me, Norman Foster, not one of her husband's name, whom she left, wrote very nicely. And you go to the embassy tomorrow, there's a book waiting, because the ambassadors can bring the book. I went, I saw the Objectivist newsletter. I said, I want to subscribe to it. Because she wouldn't say, nothing is free in this world. You have to pay. I said, ma'am, I don't even have $1 to the embassy. Don't worry, we will arrange. My brother again heard what, he gave me whatever he had. So I said, this is all I have. You paid, no? The Objective newsletter, I read, Philosophy Change. And after some years, the Objectives, the monthly issue came. I couldn't afford to. Again, the embassy would take it and say, call me, come and collect it, come and collect it. I would go. This, in addition, as you said, who is this young architect able to walk into the embassy without even any... That opened the Russian embassy. They were spying each other. The British Council also was spying. They were very softly spying. And one of them said, you come there, we want you to come to the embassy. I, like I innocently, I went to the British Council, evening to the Soviet thing there. Sir, we are going all over place. This is dangerous. They'll kidnap you and kill you tomorrow. But it stopped me. That grew into another story. That's why I went to Moscow. It's a phenomenal place. I went to New York to study. But Moscow architecture is much more in depth. That's when I started traveling a lot. Since you asked the story when we were doing, what I was telling, the Chitale was the one who gave me the opportunity to work. As you said, I don't have any place to work for you to sit. I said, I'm not asked your place to work. I just want to be with you.
Hmm.
And he said, why? He said, if I don't join you, I must join your opponent, who was the head of the Department of Architecture also as advisor. I don't care if he passes me or not. I'm going to sit in a row. He looked at me and said, after he didn't know that I was not the client, I was only I laughed. He would take this car, come, sit with me. I started going to projects. 4 years with him, as you said, for not going to the project, listening him critically, evaluate finishes, lines, spaces, movement, taught me so much. I said, I can't be your architect. I want to explore my own spaces. That's when the Shipping Corporation of India, when they knew I had left, because I went home, as you said, to my mother and said, I'm not going to office anymore. She just went, but my father was very angry. What do you mean it? I'm not going anymore. I think at the time I met my wife, she was an IAS. Because of me, left the IAS, joined the State Bank of India. I said, she's there. I met her back. The shipping corporation was standing outside the thing. They want you to take over the project. I said, no, I can't. He said, no, we will give you a new project. I said, wait, you come to the Cochin. Tomorrow your flight is booked. He said, yes. He said, we have already booked the flight for you. Come. I said, I don't even have a passport. I mean, I knew. No, first come to Cochin. So we went to the Cochin shipyard. So we redesigned the Cochin shipyard sitting there. You know how we sketch. He would put an Angara architect to it. And Jeffrey Bawa at that time exchanged his architect with me. And Panapa went to his office and then came to my office. When I worked on these things, they gave me the huge cans, containers. So we built one of the first container homes designed. So they liked. He said, you must do more projects. Then at that time, Hatka was watching, Suresh and Sharma. What is this youngster up to? Come and quote for us. I said, I can't understand you people and I don't like government jobs. He said, no. What do you want? Then at the time, luckily for me, somebody from Calcutta had asked me to do a project. Conditional go to Orissa. Many, many things happened. I'll tell you, I'm not historically in line. That's when I said enough of Madras and came off to Bangalore. I thought I'll stay quiet. Enough of pride and the ego. That's when the ego house.
I'm curious about that ego housing though.
You're a dangerous man. That's when Cochin shipyard he gave. And then he said, no, sir, tomorrow you're flying. I said, where? I can't fly. No. I go home. My mother said, come. I said, what? Your passport, your ticket to Muscat is there. I said, I just met him day before. Yes, he wants you to fly. Flying. What does it matter? It looks great. So I went to the airport. I didn't even go through the security. Sir, you're a VIP. I said, me, VIP? What is... You got go straight and sit in the first class. I said, I haven't paid 1 rupee. I don't have anything. Somebody said, in those days, it would exchange $10, $20, $50 maximum. No, everything is looked after. I landed in Muscat. I haven't even seen. They were strict with me. No, they said, you come because it's Islamic. You can come. Probably they thought Jaisim meant Islamic name or something. I went inside.
Was Jaisim Muhammad already there?
You never know. Jaisim is a Muslim name. Yeah. I went, sat there.
So, sorry for interjecting you. This was after you went to Moscow, right? Oman was after Moscow.
This is much earlier.
This is much earlier.
Much later.
Right. So, why... and Fountainhead had already happened.
Yes.
And the US Embassy gave you that.
Yes.
From US Embassy, you ended up in the UK Embassy, both in Chennai. And from there, they thought you were probably double-timing them. And that's how he ended up in Soviet Embassy.
So this was during the time when he got the book.
Right.
3-4 years within the practice. Yeah. He got the book. He was curious about Ayn Rand. He went to US Embassy.
And he's still working with?
He was at Chitale.
Chitale. Yeah.
So within that time when because he was moving in different...
But he still doesn't have a certificate. The chancellor hadn't... Yeah.
So, the moment I got the certificate...
So because he was moving between embassies, they gave him a warning. So that was the embassy...
Who gave him a warning? That's what I'm curious about.
Embassy people. Because there are too many people.
Because Cold War era, right?
Yeah, US, Russia, British... So all of
morning here, evening there, back here. They said, what is this here?
Somebody watches you,
Yeah, of course. I mean, they were all suspicious of each other and you could not take chances.
Few people got got a chance to be at that level.
Absolutely.
So when he got his degree, he
Hmm.
left the job. When he left the job, Cochin
Corporation.
Shipyard
No,
Corporation,
the shipping corporation.
Shipping
eventually
Corporation
came
got
in.
in touch with him for redesigning Cochin Shipyard.
Yeah. And
When he-
Hudko is watching right now.
Ah,
No, so
that was
he-
watching. That's
yeah,
still going.
he
That
went
took some
there,
time.
Yeah.
he went to the Cochin Shipyard. Within a couple of days, he got his passport and everything for Muscat.
Yeah. And overnight they gave it to him for 3 months opening.
No. Only for 1 week
This is for Muscat.
for Muscat.
Perfect.
But I went and landed.
Mm.
In those days, you had to surrender your passport.
Right.
You couldn't take it with. So I surrendered my passport with the owner.
Mm.
He kept it. Then after I finished looking at the building, it was extended, as you said, to 3 months. So I told my wife I have to stay 3 months. But I told them I can't stay 3 months because I haven't seen her for a long time. So no problem.
Your wife also.
Then one day they took me to the airport. I thought I backed up. I said, don't worry, sir. They didn't say no to my packing up my luggage, going to the airport. Those days you had to climb the steps to get into the aircraft. So I was waiting outside. They were not even smiling. They were just looking at me. So wait. Aircraft landed. The pilot, oh God, suddenly I remember the name. The pilot again was a very good friend. He saw me from the cabin. Sir, he came running. Sir, don't you remember doing my... He said, you know the pilot, you know this what... He said, no, passengers will be coming down shortly. I see her walking down. She walked down.
This is your wife.
My wife. Then they put me in a nice hotel from my cabin. No, I said, no problem. They put in a nice place. We stayed there. After a week, she said, only 1 week I can stay, not even 3 months. They managed to call State Bank. I said, no, sir, we'll extend her to 3 months. Then they called. See, Bank of Muscat was all involved with the financing thing. And so they asked, what is she? I said, she's a banker now, not the administrative officer. So she said, I'm packing. They just smiled at her. Madam, where are you going? I have to go back. My office, I'm in office in the bank. I have to go back. No, ma'am, you're not going. Then one one very fascinating Lebanese, forget his name, he'll come in the head. He walked up and said, you're Jaisim working with these people. Have come. I understand your wife is a banker. We are meeting tomorrow in my office. He went. Madam, you've come. They brought me from Lebanon. They brought you from India. We are going to start the Bank of Muscat in Oman.
Right.
The bank was started. But she said, I have to go back. No, we talked to your State Bank of India. They have agreed if she is going to join you to start a bank, they will allow her to start. They made her literally softly resign from there. What a 3 month, 1 year thing. Went on for about 5 years doing many things. Sultan, his house, various people. I could have continued and made billions.
So you stayed back in Oman for 5 years.
Almost 4.5, 5 years.
Yeah.
She also was with me.
Right.
For that 4
Setting
years.
up Bank of Muscat.
Bank of Muscat. Then other people would use her finance. She was very
Right.
good in finance and things. And the Shapurji Palanji were doing a project.
So before you get to that story, quickly, I want to know, when is it that you got married in between all of this?
19...
When he left Chitale's office.
Yes.
So he got the certificate and he got married at the same time.
Around the same
Around the
Around
same time.
When he went home.
Even full year, huh?
Yes, I think 1970-75 was great changes, 66 to 75.
I wasn't even
great.
conceived. Like my parents didn't know that they wanted me. And while he was...
Oh, God.
was it a love marriage or a arranged marriage? It's a personal
by
question.
accident at MSW. My brother was married to her aunt. So I met her there, very proud, sitting. I must have been very quiet. She came and sat with me and talked to me. That's how the meeting started. Very few people had the thing. So she said, no, I think it's very nice. She worked. And for me, one problem solved. I can't hardly make money. She was making good money.
Yeah, nice.
Problem solved. One, we found a house. Some money came.
Did the bike play a role there?
Not much, but she would like to sit in the bike and
Right.
what it came. But she was much more of a different type of.
Right. So now back to the story.
Sorry, I just want to...
I'm basically getting the chronology right
Don't
because
worry,
this
my
is very
chronology
eventful.
is complicatedly headache.
So there are so many stories I think he has, and everyone is so interesting. But I just want to understand a few things about the Fountainhead. The reason is because when Fountainhead is asked to be read by student architects like us, when I read it, for me, I'm not sure what happens to other people in their head.
No.
And like you said, the freedom of expression is probably what got you attracted or got you hooked on to the philosophy of Fountainhead. For me, it was the Howard Rock's character.
Yes.
And for some reason, that character was so strong, and everything about it was like, that you can imagine when at that time when you're reading the book and you imagine yourself being the Howard Rock.
Yes.
And it takes you to another world, and it gives you that supreme confidence that yes, from tomorrow I will be like this.
Yes.
So what, apart from the philosophy of expression, what else got you hooked on to the book, and why only Fountainhead and not any other book?
It said, unless you have your own self-respect to yourself, how can you respect anybody else? That is when she expressed the word ego. Ego doesn't mean sangur. No, it means you respect yourself. Unless you respect yourself, you cannot respect another person. That is when I said, I must build my own thing. Bought little funds and land. My father had given me some land. And I bought this on the seaside. People called me an idiot. But at that time, another great philosopher came into my life, J. Krishnamurthi, Valley School. That's why my daughter finally went to Valley. I was doing the beach house. There was at the Valley and Madiyar side. I used to drive in, and I found it was fascinating. That's another big journey.
Madanapalli.
No, in Madras.
In Madras.
Okay. Madanapalli came after. I had to do projects after. Worries here. That was another world.
Yeah.
Even now they say, where are you come? We started that. He said, who is this architect? That's when I was building on the seaside. A house. I was violating every bylaw that was possible. Because I said these bylaws don't make sense. They were brought by the British here. But nobody would question because he said, anyway, some nutcase is building with his own money. Why break our heads? That's when Bawa and one more person,
the Egyptian architect,
Nasser. He came and said, Jaisim, and he was tall. I said, you will hit the ceiling here. No, it gives me skill. I took over the house, and then J. Krishnamurthi, when I was walking through this place, I said, who is this person walking quietly? Sir, he is the philosopher of this valley thing. And everybody would sit around. I'll never forget this particular story of his there and in another place where I met him. Once I met him, I just sat. He would be talking, writing, and I went home. I loved it. Just Jaisim Krishnarao and J.K. Krishnamurthi. I used to pull my own legs. They also used to pull my and from Godrej. Right. He was one of the great persons. He said, Jaisim, you seem to like that person. He said, yes. He said, we are from Godrej. We are funding most of this thing. That's how we did some of the Godrej properties. Many of them would walk behind him. And one day when we were walking in that other place, Guruji, don't walk. There are thorns. There are bees. There are other things there. You can't walk on the road. He smiled, turned around. These were all said, Guruji is turning around. Have you walked these paths? No, sir. That's why we don't walk the path no one has walked before. The thorns teach you more than anything on this earth because they tell you we are this. Yes. Walk the journey, no one. That is when it opened me in architecture. To walk the journey that no one has ever walked before. Because he said, I never asked you to walk before. You're only following my path. Find your own path. That's when Valley School Cottage all called. So now we are going to design Valley School. You're going to, at the time, around that time was when my daughter was born. That was the pretext in which I came back from Muscat to India. I said, you couldn't refuse. The past. After I came back, they said, so when are you coming back? This project is not finished. I said, somebody will take care of it. They went to the embassy, tore that passport, tore both the passport, throw it into the waste paper basket.
In Oman?
No, coming back. Moment I landed, tore it and said, I'm not going. But believe it or not, within a week, so there is another alternate passport waiting for me. No, that was because I was doing the US Embassy. I said, what do you want? Come and redo the British Embassy. That's when the Russian was, if you can do that, we can. They were very clever, the Russians that way. They knew, having gone to these books, that I would know certain things which they were not allowed to know. I admire them for their way of looking at it.
Right.
That's when we suddenly got, you're invited to come to Moscow. Oh,
Right. That's how it happened.
yes. Oh, I didn't want to. Moscow was beautiful, but then it took me to another place north of Moscow. Absolutely phenomenal spaces.
Approximately which year was this, if you...
This is all before 2000.
Mm.
That's when, I don't know how the Indo-Chinese, they came to know this nutcase architect is doing something around here. So I was invited to Beijing. So I went to Peking, went there. Then I met the Chinese. They're phenomenal. Their ability to comprehend and read your mind, I'm talking about 40 years, is unbelievable. As even more, they would know what you're looking at, what you're not looking at. They're not even looking at what you're seeing. What are you looking at? They query quietly in their own language. Somebody would translate, somebody would answer. There's another little soft content you would like, go there. They said continue. But then at the time, Indochina was very firm. Then the war started, things. So they said you can't go back to that place. Then I went to Japan for some place. Japan I found very methodical and tack. It was a little too much till me. But they were very smart. Even now, I'm supposed to be the president of the Indo-Japanese Association. Today, there is a meeting. I said, I'm not the Indo-Japanese ambassador. Jaisim, you have got to be here. Sir, you inaugurate on my... She listened. She's going to kill my...
She'll hear it after we release.
No. She is a naughty one. And the ambassador, he said, Jaisim, you're not coming. I said, sir, I'm also not going. These are all retired people. Yeah. But that's an organization somewhere on the Tumkur Road somewhere. We have a small place. Mm-hmm. We have an exhibition sentence every month or something. We meet in this. It's a film, pure hardcore discipline to a totally undisciplined country. Mm-hmm. That's why I said, in India, it is order and chaos. There, they collect all the chaos and make it into order. This is my philosophy. Of architecture. Now people are using that term quite easily. I said, India is a very diverse, I won't call it India, the subcontinent is a tremendously diverse country. Every state, every language, yet we move. This is when some of the Pakistani architects and all became great friends. I almost went to Karachi for once and could have done everything, but then the conflict started. I used to know them, but some of the architects were very good. That's when Jeffrey Bower said, you go to Ceylon. You can't go there. And that's another beautiful country again. Then I went to the islands and things, then back to Moscow.
So you had the opportunity to meet and be a counterpart with some of the most popular architects, the so-called masters that we know.
See, they are masters.
And of the time, and so they were also practicing around the same time.
Much higher level.
And also people like Frank Lloyd Wright and Mies van der Rohe, Philip Johnson. All of them would have probably been, I think there was a story that you told about how you wrote to Mies van der Rohe and how he wrote back to you.
He sent me a book.
Yeah. So they had already established a practice at that time.
Beyond any time. They were the heroes of the world.
So what is it like to grow up in that kind of an era where, architecture and modern architecture is picking up, becoming popular? Architects like Mies van der Rohe, Philip Johnson, Walter Gropius, Frank Lloyd Wright, and Le Corbusier. They're all at the peak of their careers. You had started your career. They're probably the people you look up to, and in all of this, Fountainhead happened.
Yeah.
And today, when you have been there, done that, all of those things that all these masters whom you were looking up to. So, what's the feeling like, and how is, let's say today, if somebody wanted to become, or at least say 50 years down the line, be known as a master of architecture, modern architecture, or the era of between say 2020 to 2040, 50. what do they need to do? What is it that you did
Yeah.
to get to this place? Because the reason is we as students or even young architects, when we move out of college, when we start a practice, and in today's time there is so much of importance given to money and fame, and there is so much of diversification that is happening, and there's so much distraction all over. Profession like architecture, money comes in, may or may not come in, we don't know. Howard Rock as a character did not become rich in the book, but
I said I had more difficulty than Howard Rock.
So what is it that keeps you going and getting you to that?
You brought me another point. Me is because of that book, Farnsworth House and thing. But what really, really upgraded me to another level, I'm not in contextual ways. I somehow went to South Africa, then to South America. I realized America was nothing. Europe was nothing. And these architects were never written about. They didn't bother. Particularly when they got some architect in Africans, Egyptian, just outside Nazareth, they said, no. I said, sir, I don't have. No, you just go mention our names. They will allow, because South Africa is under British control. But I wouldn't want to stay in that main thing. Go. They were building houses in those days in mud into the anthills and things. What was the great architect who did organic architecture? He became another hero of mine.
Hassan Fatih?
Yeah, Hassan.
No.
I like Hassan Fatih, but even greater.
Okay.
Hassan Fatih came much late. This is what I'm talking about, generations. Anthony Gaudi.
Anthony Gaudi, yes.
See, you're bringing back memories.
Gaudi.
Unbelievable. That is when my architecture shifted totally to organic architecture. My God, that is movement of spaces. You can't draw perspective. You can't design. You have to walk the spaces. J. Krishnamurthi's philosophy merged with this.
Quick question, sir. You still speak about objectivism. In your book, you write about it. That is a concept or a life philosophy that you picked up and kind of imbued so much new. Picked up from Ayn Rand.
Yes,
that your company is called Jaisim-Fountainhead. It's like a symbolism suggesting that philosophy. And then you encounter Krishnamurti. What I was curious about is, you just mentioned that Krishnamurti influenced you at some point of time.
Sir.
To me, it is very fascinating that the first strong influence that you mention is Ayn Rand's Fountainhead, and you kind of embodied objectivism. Yes. You write about it in your book as well.
Yes.
Right. Now here, several years later, or actually a couple of decades later, you bump into Krishnamurti. I mean, forgive me for my ignorance, but that is a different philosophy from a different landscape. So I wanted to first ask you a quick question, actually. The quick question is, can you coin a word for the philosophy that you took away from Krishnamurti? Like objectivism for Ayn Rand, what did you take away from?
The unknown journey.
The unknown journey. Right. Then the question is, how is it that objectivism and the unknown journey marry in your head?
This is when I started comprehending spirituality. That is, I'll tell you, this is one more point. I was very close to many, even the great Sai Baba, he wanted me. I used to have fun saying, oh, the Dadi fellow trying to teach me something. Then I met, by sheer accident, sitting outside in a back seat of an audience. Somebody was talking on the stage with Dadi, and a couple of people then. It was very interesting talk about life, philosophy, and all this thing, what to do. Then somebody came and said, what? Guruji wants you. No, I've been sitting quietly criticizing him, having fun sitting, because some students said, come sir, we want you to see us. Right on the way we saw this, we were sitting. No, so he wants you. And so there were hundreds of people. I was young. So he quietly took me up the stage. They all went and touched his feet. I just stood and watched. Tomorrow you're coming here again. Just looked at me. They have this ability to, what do you use the word, hypnotize you in a very soft way. I said, fine. But by the time I went back home, she said, I said, I went to the Art of Living space here, just for the fun of it, because it was very near my other ego house. I said, what's happening on the hill? I went to see the site somewhere. So I said, looks very interesting. Walked in.
This is, when you mentioned Guruji, you're talking about Shri Ravi
Sri
Shankar.
Ravi Shankar.
Got it.
I came down. Then they said, again, that was again one thing. I said, I don't do much. But they said, again, God and other people were involved. They said, sir, we understand, you met. He wants you to, again, fly to Orissa. I said, why? Because they were doing some projects and things. That is when he took me there. People said, you must be honored. Prime ministers and chiefs come and sit here. You was making you sit. Literally calling me stupid. I went. At that time, I was a real bad fellow. I used to use beef, steaks, beer, whiskey. And here was the pure vegetarian system. I landed up in Orissa. Then they smiled, sir, we'll have to stay at least 3-4 days here. We want you to see a site. I was here flying free. What does it matter? Who cares? Then the car picked me up and took me to a hotel. I said, why are you not putting me in the campus where Guruji knows you, sir? I said, what do you mean? He said, there is a bar, there are non-veg shop. This nutcase won't stay with us. Literally. Nobody believes so. I stayed, typical enough. Then he just smiled and said, I want you to design the university. I said, what should I call? He didn't say anything. You'll call it Sri Sri University. That's why the S is UK. I said, so you want to do so much of philosophy and teaching? Yes, I want to get to the youngsters. I want to get into this. Lots of very big people from US, UK, all over the country were sitting there. We are willing to fund the place. I said, I need a couple of acres. They didn't say anything. So tomorrow morning, the car will pick you up. I said, okay, from my great hotel, had my morning thing. The car took me around. I don't know who was watching me or what. So we've been watching like you're watching. We have been watching what all you've been watching. I said, yes, we drove. Well, how much land do you need? I said, we have been told that all the land you saw is yours. I said, that's hundreds of acres. Yes, sir. 300 acres is yours. I said, I just want 3 acres. No, you were looking at that mountain. You were looking at that site. You were looking. Guruji has said, whatever. I thought, where's the money? Donors after donors bought that place. I designed the auditorium, designed the overall master plan. So this is the way the elementary school should run. This is the way thing. Till the education department came very strongly there also and said, what is Center for Education, blah, blah. You must have, unless you certified in this, you cannot give a degree. And he said, doesn't matter. But the parents said, see, they may stay with you, but 50% of the students may not want to be here. They may want to go to US. They may want to go. He said, okay, one branch, then we'll have 2 branches. Those who want tuck, will study in this branch. Those who don't care will study in this branch. That is when influences came for my daughter to study. And when he heard that I'd also put them Valley School, that was a very soft philosophical connection between that and this. That's why they said, why don't you design something out there? This started almost internationally out there. I didn't believe that they would grow so big. Till he's not too well at all now. That's why I said, you don't know what tomorrow holds. That is the walk J.K. taught me. Ayn Rand, in her own way, in a different set, you walk, but be objective in your walk. And real objectivism looks at the subject you're talking, not necessarily subjectivism. You look at the subject and interrelate it with an objective path. Then you get a beautiful goal, which is very fascinating as an observation. I couldn't connect this. Like you were saying, subjective is the other end of philosophy. He said, no, look at it that way. Without a subject, what is your goal? Where are you going? You need an object. That is the subject of yours. That's when my ego conquered me and the I do conquered me. This is again Ayn Rand's philosophy. But this is when I started looking at Hinduism. Another person influenced, other than J.K., one of the temples, Sri Rajeshwari thing, or the other, one great speaker and Muni influenced me a lot. It'll come into my head. He said, Hinduism is not a religion.
Ramakrishna Ashram?
Something must be, because we did something for them later also. It is a way of life. That changed my way of attitude. Whereas we call it religion. I said, no, it is not. But what made me, when I talked about this, believe it or not, churches, mosques came into my life and said, sir, you are the only person who can design a mosque without being biased. And they had 2 or 3 religions within themselves, jihad and something. Now, this is what we look at. And we know that you will not be influenced by us, but you will design. One thing, you must bring our culture and history in this place. That's why we designed some mosques, built a front. Then the church came. I didn't know the difference. Although I studied in Christian college school, that was Protestant. The Catholics came out because the Holy Angel school I studied was Catholic. Then they merged in another philosophy, designing a Catholic church with the stars and thing, and then a Protestant church and a thing. That gave me an object. My wife and I, like, what, temples over? I said, temples are very different when you study these two. Then came one more religion. It's not, I won't call it religion, like the Egyptian pyramids. They're also religious if you look, but they're religion from the climate and ecology and acoustics, as you said. That is when I became an ecologist, and then acoustics became the big subject. People used to call me an architect. I said, I'm not an architect. I'm an ecologist. That is when the green architecture also walked into my life in a big way. But when I put the green in my first card, sir, you become a Pakistani. I'll never forget that day in Delhi, that too in Delhi. I said, they'll bury me in this place. No. That's when green architecture and the great writer, it became very popular, became big. Organic architecture, green architecture, climate change, all that influenced how to, go into very deliberate details. I love the abstraction and let the details be given to me by the person who knows that subject well. See, again, the subjectivism comes. He knows the subject well. So with his subject, he knows that, like Elapa Reddy and a few others would tell me what, I said, I want a plant that's big enough to give shadow. I don't know what the plant is. He knows what the plant is, but he doesn't know where to plant it. This is when the Japanese also influenced me for the internal. What are those small
Zen garden, and
Zen
bonsai.
garden, and that bonsai. That's how they influenced me in a different world. How you can build within a temperature control. That's when Lal Bagh, even now, even today, I'm supposed to be at Lal Bagh redesigning the organ.
Right.
So I told Chaitara, you go on to it. No, sir. He wants you at least to visit what you've done. They want to add botanical gardens and things. That became a big issue. It used to be even with right. I had told the chief minister then, and the horticulturist minister, don't put a wall around Lal Bagh. Maximum put is a fence. People want to see. I don't know what got into me. I said, come with me. He didn't question. I said, at that time, believe it or not, I was designing a prison. Life imprisonment. So you can't go in, they're all murderers and killers. And the rule is today you can't hang them or kill them, but they have to. I went there. When I walked in, so be careful. I said, be careful of what? So they're all killers. I said, no, if you want me to redesign something, I want to walk. Then I said, none of you come with me. They said, we can't. I said, please, if anything happens, don't worry. Luckily for me, the person who leave him alone for some time, but indirectly he must have said, keep watch on him. Because they have those cameras. He pretended to me saying, no, okay, you walk. Believe it or not, I used to walk to many of these prisons and things. They would be allowed to walk around the place doing gardening, cleaning, cooking during daytime. And they would be put back in the cage in the night. I said, you're treating it like an opposite zoo. Because when I was designing the zoo almost at the same time, oh gosh, my God. I said, these are not animals. They can think and they interact. And you're anyway, why do you build a wall? Again, like Lal Bagh, why don't you just put a fence so that they know? And if they want to escape, then I called 2 of the very tough prisoners. I said, sit with me, another Tamilian. I said, what do you want? I can talk to you that you're very good. We can get you freedom. Free from you because I know just for it. Sir, please don't allow me to go outside. I said, well, here I get food, I get sleep, I get pet, I get think, I have friends, I play, then I get a very close, safe place to sleep. He told me very close and not so that nobody can hear. I said, don't you want to go out? And I thought so. Some of our friends jumped and went, and many of them have come back this much, which is true. I don't believe it.
No, I also know this is true because from my life, my grandfather used to be a medical officer in Bihar police. So in prisons, I have pictures when I was an infant where, these guys used to work as orderly equivalents in my in the officers' houses, right? So they used to come early in the morning with milk, and my mother actually trusted them. So did my grandfather. So I used to be there on their back going to get milk with a prisoner who's been given some kind of a life sentence. And my grandfather used to tell me these stories that even if you release them, they will actually do something so that they can get back into prison because they're safer here, provided for here, and they feel they have a better quality of life here than outside. And outside life is not something that they enjoy, so they have begun to enjoy this. So
Sir is the second person I know who's designed a prison. The first one whom I'd heard of was V.K. Girdhar.
Oh, yes, he was a great friend.
He has done multiple correction centers back in the US. He was working there. He literally spent a month in the prison. There they call it correction centers. Yes. And then he went and designed. And he designed almost, I think, 10-15 of them.
The prison expert. He can cage you really well.
He came back to India because after a while, that's the only thing he was doing. So he was like, if I'm here, I'll do only this. So then he came back to India.
That's how we became a good friend. When I told him, let's open the prison to this, then he said, okay, we're both friends. Now you come to another subject which I went in. Somebody, my my wife and her aunt took me, Jaisim, we want you to come and look at this place. The government has given us this land. I drove, walked in. Some young kid come, talk to you. I didn't know what I was. And he said, what is this? This is what we don't want to call it called advanced mentally handicapped school. I said, what the little boy and the little girl talked was more intelligent than what I met with anybody else here. Some of them may look mentally, but they are very closed in some subjects, not closed. Some of them physically violent, mentally very active. Some are mentally violent, but physically inactive. I learned a lot how to design for them, the women, the men, the children. See, life is a very fascinating drama. That's why even now when I went, I was looking at an ant walking. I said, with one step, I can kill it. We are similar to an ant somewhere up there. And now that great war and going, and I said, maybe somebody's having fun playing, what is that game we trade and...
It's somebody else's game and people are dying.
People are dying. What was the trade? No, before trade, Indian trade came, the other big... We used to put tuck, jail in one car.
Snake and ladder?
No, snake and ladder was another one. This was
Chinese checkers. No.
Something like that, but
or
it was
Monopoly.
British. Monopoly.
Oh,
what fun. Go to jail.
Go to the jail, yeah.
Go back onward. I said, that taught me a lot. And take the card. That is your, okay, Baba. Then when the other fellow is not looking, put the card back.
But Monopoly was a game designed to teach business, basics of business. It's an extension of Arthashastra.
With discipline.
Yeah.
That's when the Indian game came as trade. Because as you said, discipline came. Those games were that is when I started looking at cricket and hockey and football and all these games. And they said, why don't you continue your cricket game? And I said, it's nice to play for some time, but then you get stuck within the boundaries. This is when I wrote the other thing called Beyond Boundaries. So that thing came back as an issue.
I'm interjecting again. I'll take you back to what we were discussing. Shri Ravi Shankar is something that led to Krishnamurthi, right? And you explained as to how objectivism and subjectivism, and there's an expression you used for what Krishnamurthi provided to you as a core philosophy.
Journey.
The
unknown journey.
The unknown journey. Unknown journey. In my own foolish way, I'm trying to put the whole thing in a sentence as to what I'm kind of taking back. It's more experience than my ability to put into words. what I kind of understood is the fact that objectivism is about being able to experience subjectivity in what you're looking at, or else your goal is never set.
I don't want to use the word subjectivity. I want to
Right.
use the word subject.
Subject, right? It crystallizes
Yes.
your goal, right? So, from the point of view of an unknown journey, the crystallization of a goal, does it keep it unknown anymore?
Up to that point, yes.
The
Right.
journey
Because-
is still unknown. Only your
Because what is happening
focus
is where you have gone, others play the game.
Right.
You continue your going.
Got
The
it.
others belong
Right.
to this space and space. That's why it's like a class, stages by stages. But you shouldn't stay there.
Mm.
If you can manage to continue your journey, you're opening new ventures and adventures for the young
Right.
and the others, which are open in the mind to come to you, which is very, very crucial in today's education. That you must cross.
I was curious about something before I pass it on to you, wherein you talk about influences of other masters, how masters influence each other in some sense is how I look at it. In so far, in everything that we've heard about you, read about you, found out about you, and your own story being shared right now, it so seems, or at least that's how it seems like, that things happen to you, and you picked it up from where you let it occur to you, and you did justice or did the best that you could, be it Oman, Moscow,
Well-
Orissa, Kochi, whatever. Right now, that in some sense is fascinating and might make you look as somebody who just got lucky with life.
People might say lucky, but you find the luck. Now we opened another subject. They put me on an ocean liner and took me. I said, where are you going? So I just said, they took me to, what is the Atlantic or Antarctica or North?
Arctic region.
On the top.
Yeah.
They cross. So very few people have crossed this. Just stay quiet. You stay inside. We will cross that final Arctic circle. We went. It's an amazing space where the entire circle of movement is within there. There's hardly any movement to the earth there. You just see. I was admiring, and then that is when I started climatology again, when the pole of the earth shifts like this. I said, what about the bottoms? Believe it or not, within 3 months, my daughter had gone to New Zealand to study because she said, I don't want to study in India. Luckily, she got me. I went to visit her. Daddy, come. Somebody is waiting. They know about New Zealand architects are very open, unlike Australian, although they were great. But we went to the
Antarctica.
where the pole is staying at one place. Many people don't know. They don't understand why the climate changes, the earth shifts, and every time they. But would you believe? You go to Indian history, it understands it. I won't use the subcontinent under its history. They knew how it doesn't go in a circle, it goes in an elliptic, which again goes around something, which again goes around anything. It is unbelievable the way things move. So no 2 days or no 2 hours and no 2 seconds are ever the same on this earth. You grow, others grow. What is death? What is birth? I have no clue. That is creativity. It's
Right.
The universe creates you. But how many more universes are there? I have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us know.
None of us can know. If you knew, then you are not a human being.
Your stories are so fascinating. We can just go on and on listening to them. But like today, you are known in the fraternity as one of the masters of architecture in India, and people know you everywhere. You've reached a status where you are like a celebrity architect. Before we met you and we spoke to you, the image was that that okay, architect Jaisim is up there and you're there. You have reached that status. You are a master in yourself. What does it take to be there? Is it destiny or is it something else?
I think you should not take that as the goal. Again, I'll come back to the first thing. You must continue your journey. When others start appreciating your journey, but you don't limit their journey either. You tell them this is what I'm going. But again, from the other philosophers and architectural philosophers, I said, these are basic fundamentals that I'm looking at. You must grow beyond those fundamentals. Then they start looking at you. Because of you, can they move around the branches? This is when I tell note the tree may be of a particular species, but no two trees are the same. And yet they are trees. Whereas modern, I won't use the word modern, very contemporary architects all over the world try to identify a tree and keep planting the same thing, trimming and making it look identical. I said, that is not human life. It is not correct to do it. With each person, each tree is individualistic, different. That is the journey, and it's very clear. You don't imitate. You can learn from the other. It's much faster because you don't have to go unnecessarily to the path. You can glimpse at the path and know this, and then continue the journey beyond. That I feel is very, very important in today's education, especially for youngsters. And then you brought another subject, which I now, Suvida comes into my head.
Right.
When you reach caste 60, 70 and think retire, I don't understand the word retire. Sometimes I wonder why I'm sitting there. You are born with knowing nothing. You reach a stage where you know nothing. Then you want to walk back this journey. But that was different journey. You start from this age when you've reached there, whatever, you start discovering many things in your own path which you were not aware of. This is where the concept of awareness, you made it, becomes very, very into your head, very straight. You were not aware when you took the journey. When you return the journey, 90%, in fact, it's like somebody said, when you look at the flower from the bottom, you don't know. But when you look at the flower from the top, something else. It blooms and you see something else. And by the time you come down, look at the flower, it's gone. Something else happens. That is life in its 40th. But you can't have everybody following that life because 90% of humans, I won't use the word slavery. In fact, bluntly, if I say, who looked at slavery were people who gave people simply like prison. They made sure they ate, they made sure they worked. Whereas when you intern your own slavery, you need somebody to give you work. You need somebody to do it. You become a slave of yourself into somebody else's life. Isn't it going 9 o'clock, talk, come back, come back? Doesn't the time makes you slave or something? Life is too complex. Too complex.
You worked with B.V. Doshi, Jeffrey Bawa.
No, work means
Hasn't you been them? You've
Though
interacted with
Bawa was a little closer. Doshi I admired.
You've been interacting. I mean, you have interacted. You have the opportunity to interact with all of them.
Yeah.
And as an outsider, like not as an outsider, but as a young architect, when we were in college, or at least when I was a student, and when we were reading about them, we were so fascinated by their projects and their story. There were not many stories there, but the projects itself, because that's what was showcased in the books. And we were very fascinated. And that's on the Indian architecture side. But at the same time, you've also been a contemporary for people like Norman Foster, Renzo Piano, Tadavando, Antonio Gaudi, and all of these. There's so much that was there, and you've been there, done that, explored all of these things. Like I said again, I mean, is it destiny that gets you there, or what is that one thing that somebody should hang on to and say that, okay, if I'm an architect, I should do this, or I should not even look at my end goal being that? What is your advice
I'll put it in a slightly different way. Vastu Shilpa and Vastu Shastra attempt to look at things. Shilpa is architecture. You sculpt the world, but many people think you're only a sculpture now. The other one is your philosophy and spirituality. You look at India or the subcontinent, Asia. You ever see an architect's name anywhere? It's only the British and the Western who put the architect's word. In fact, somebody in Suvida the other day were pulling my legs. So the donor is there, founder is there, where is your name? I said, I'm the architect. That's about all. What? So they should have put I said, I hired a British company. Our name would be the first name, and then comes the founder and all this. Because I believe, initially I used to get angry and things and so on. Then I realized it's much higher. It is a different world, because yours is one project. After even a few years, or the interior designer or decorator, whoever comes, can modify, and you can do nothing. Whereas a sculpture, you can't change. Very, very painting. You touch a painting, they will kill you.
It's static.
I don't like to use the static. The artist will kill me if I use the word static. But yours, even before you finish, I want one more window here. No, you're not the designer. You're not even a decorator. The interior. In fact, this is the fun between interior design and decoration starts. They can't break it. They can move it. I said, it took me a whole year to design this place. And this person walks in within seconds and moments. He has changed this place. How do you explain it? It's another world. Architecture is another world. It is beyond limits and bounds.
One question that it's very curious. I'm very curious to know that when you meet various architects, what at your level, what do you talk about? Because is it about how you're going to change the design and architecture fraternity? Is it about what is it? I'm just curious.
I don't know whether you remember, we had an organization called 8+1.
A plus
8+1. That was in Bangalore.
Okay.
We would meet in Lal Bagh and sit around the tree. Because the practice for all was up to a point. Beyond that, we didn't have much. So we would all sit around. And they used to use my office. So Lal Bagh would also be very thrilled to make us sit around, have a cup of tea or something, or quietly.
What was it?
Beer.
Codes, beer, Kingfisher.
Something. But I will supply me free.
Yeah.
My condition was I had to design this. So first I designed UB. Then Kodai said, what, only for him you will design. Next day I go there, I find a truck of rum sitting. Kodai rum, UB beer. I said, I want scotch. Next day. That royal thing that also came. That's when I designed lots of. The first bar in Bangalore was designed bars by us.
Which one?
It was called. It was for a Muslim.
Diwar.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Diwar?
I think so. Huh? I'll never forget a Muslim asking me to design. Sorry, you design. Why? I won't drink, but you can design because I want
think Diwars or Noon Wines. One of
No, not. Wine was a winery was afterward. This was the bar, some name we had.
Was it Guzzlers?
No.
No.
It was a very simple name.
Dolphins?
No. Dolphins used to do. I think it's something like bar. It'll come into the head. I never forget. And it became so popular that I had to redesign the Cosmopolitan Club Bar, Bangalore Basungadi Club Bar, Bangalore Club Bar, Race Course Club. All free member. I wish I had kept all the, except through memberships, I don't keep anything. So you design the bar. But it should be different from that bar. I said, anyway, I'll make it different. Why are you worried? It was the... At me, Bangalore opened a lot. Whereas in Madras, when I used to design, or even Bombay, I had to, they're very strict about who can enter, who can sit, and who can drink. Very, very definitive. But when we designed something on Kanakpura Road or Mysore Road in the forest area, so this is the best place to. I said, this is where all the fellows come and drink in their cars. No, that country club, one of those things, they started all that. That's what it was. You're bringing the memories again.
So you mentioned about education.
Yeah.
What do you see, like in today's education? Do you see that empowering to architecture students? Or what's your take on education in today's time about architecture alone?
In a very simple way, who puts you into architecture? In our days, to be very blunt, I couldn't enter very easy into other things. Architecture was the only thing you could enter. My mother, since she was also there, I could, they've given you. But the real thing is the person individual? The questioning part when the individual applies, does he or she have imagination? And unlike mathematics and things, although you should know mathematics and abstraction, you should know geometry and mathematics, you should know every other subject, not in detail, but in abstraction. Because without that, you cannot get into this larger abstraction. Because once you get engineering structures you can design, you're useless. But you should know where compression works, tension works, stress works. You need not know how much tension, how much things. Because that belongs to the structural engineers. Then you become like color. You don't have to be exact into your colors. You just look at color and say, I think the sky is blue at this time, it's gray, the sunset is. Can I freeze them into a building, into a panel? I start looking at the panel out there. This is when we started designing clothes and the fashion design. They would pull me and say, come design a fashion thing. I said, I'm not. No, National Institute. The great super lady was there.
Right.
As you were saying earlier, just for the sake of counsel and limited, because even today, when youngster has said, sir, all sorts of people are signing. They're not even architects, but the building code says that. How do I define it? Does it have to be studied and certified as an architect for you to sign, or that urban planner to sign? I still don't understand, because in the earlier days, the builder would come, build it, and get some product and go. Why is architecture, unlike engineering, unless a medical doctor signs, you can't go to a pharmacy and buy. Unless an engineer signs, you can't clear this. Why is this subject alone on the art side and not in the structured side? I would love to find out, is it necessary? Is it not necessary? Somehow I feel at a much higher level it is essential. But then when I get into people ask me, are you specializing in architecture? We said, what? Sir, are you an urbanism? Like today, I think SEPT or something. So would you like to come and talk to this? Or Lucknow, the others colleague. We would like to hear. I said, one subject. I said, I can't talk on any particular subject. I will just go see the students' face like I'm talking to you. I could have prepared a talk and come. I just know. I just look at the what you responds to me, and that's the architecture that happens. It fuses. Now, to certify, in fact, I would like you professionals to say, how can it be done? Is it necessary? In a way, yes. Some ways, no. Who qualifies? As I told you earlier, otherwise talking my granddaughter or something, they would be sketching. They don't even know why they are sketching, but your thought has pushed them there. You look at it and say, boy, there is something which I never could have on my own done. Why can't I do it? And show the reality of it. Then that's why I said there is no such thing as when it's done. They'll be turning pages, throwing on book. I'll still remember when one person, my grandson, required to talk about each book in a different way. For the fun, because he didn't want to hear me talk, but I said, what have you done? Oh, Tata, putting one book over the other so that they look. I said, you have designed the best tall building in the world. After that, I then showed them pictures.
Santiago Calatrava, the
Is
turning
it?
torso.
I said, these youngsters doing it, each book looking at it differently, and then putting it. Remember, we used to play push one, they'll fall, and he would make it into a circle and fall.
One of the things I wanted to understand from you is you've had a certain practice and it's been absolutely successful. In today's time, large offices, large corporations, corporate culture, all of these are the norm in a general regular society. IT and Biocon and all of these are large corporate houses. Can a similar business, or do you see architecture to be like a large corporate house? Do you see that as a need for architects to do, or what's your take on whether it should be a boutique practice or should it be a corporate type of a culture?
You have brought a very important question. All the three big companies, I could have been the only architect for them for life. Biocon, she became a great friend. Narayan Murthy became Nandan, became a great friend. ITC became a great friend. All that, as I said earlier, personal thing. But when they get into the profession of their job, it is not them anymore. They move away into a much higher level. They leave the general manager or the project engineer, somebody who are very, I don't like the word disciplined, within their core of thing. Sir, we want 3,000 square feet of this. I said, why should that 3,000 square feet of this should be here? Why can't it be designed some other way? So we are buying. I said, we will design even the furniture. We will put everything like you were. But no, they can only think of tuck. This is when I start giving up these practices. Tobacco company, ITC, they wanted to transfer into from tobacco to this conversion. I said, tobacco is manufactured directly from da. Only thing I used to get boxes of beautiful cigars. UP would give me beer, cigar, what one drink from UP or Kodes, what more you wanted in life. and spirituality at A will go in the evening.
Nice.
But what happens, the other end is the architects I find who are like boutiques and small garden center. They end up not as designers, but as decorators. They walk into a place, they look at green and say blue, this, that. They don't want or they're not able to imagine movement of space. Architecture is about movement of space. This is one end which forces you to build. This end which does not explore. That's why interior designers have been overtaken by interior decorators. And then architects of the smaller thing have become more. You will find the interior design, don't go, both of them will eat my head off in the evening. Taken over by interior decorators very heavily, rather than they're only interested. Okay, I've got how many rooms are in this house, how many things. Okay, that cottage I built, that farm I built green wall, I'll build yellow wall in this. The client also is quite happy. He's seen the places. It looks very nice. I think his color is more his personal. That is not design. Design defines with discipline. Architecture explores with philosophy. That is my core of. Like somebody yesterday, I just for the fun of it, I sent 2 photographs to you or to one of you.
To me, I think.
To you.
Your house.
Just for sitting there when you start.
Yes.
Then I also posted it in the amalgamation of architecture, alumni of architecture. Sir, when did you design this? I said, I know, I just built it 20 years back in this cottage. It's there. I was just looking at him, his question. I said, it looks very nice. It was not designed. It came from architects. I've not put one pin. In fact, I've saved plaster money. I've paint money. I've saved this. But if you say like that, nobody will pay. If you say, no, this cost me 1,000 rupees a square, they will pay. Commercial has become a very big industry. How do you avoid it? I don't know. How do you take off commercial, but yet maintain a financial balance or whatever you call it? It is very important. But how to do it? Council said, you charge. All right. I agreed. I went, sat with the council. I became the IA president and council. Even now, they'll come. Your advice. Yes. I said, you have very clearly said you can't charge less than 5% for the fees for this. Then I won't mention names. Then another architect and something for quoting for came. Mr. Jaisim was joined as per council's norm 7% of the fees for this project. And these are the services he will give. That architect says, I will also give you these services, but I'll charge you only 1%. The client automatically signs. For the fun of it, that's when I dropped the larger project. Then I went back to some of the projects. One thing, the client met me. I said, how much did this project cost you? Especially, this cost me 100 crores. I said, what did the project for the same size I had projected for you? Not even 10 crores. What is 7% of 10 crores? What is 100%? 1 crore. I don't know what to say. Just smile. And only when it comes to their own personal house, as I told you,
right.
Sorry, come on. I said, I'm not going to reduce my fees. Many of them pay also.
Right.
But why is it like that? That's the question I'm not able to answer. And that business attitude, many architects have gotten. They appoint people. Many of them don't know I'm an architectural firm. They know. That I'm still continue to be director of the Ideal Homes Cooperative Building Society. And I was one of the early youngest presidents. Many people think I'm part of, sir, we are architects. We want, like even in Suvidha, we are architects. We want, I just smile and say, many of them don't even know I exist there. Or they know it as a different, some of you are Fountainhead. I said, no, I'm not Then they start touching. No clue. How do you? I don't know. You as professionals should find. I find it's not just in India. It's become very high. Bangalore has become very commercial in that way.
From the time when you started to today, and from today to maybe 10, 15, 20, probably 40 years down the line, do you see architect as a person being the same, or do you see some sort of evolution happening? And if yes, what kind?
I can only tell you from my small experience of nearly 50 years of practice. As I said earlier, before independence, we were not going back to the Indian culture. We were looking at the British and European culture to design on India. It's only a few of us who broke the tradition, having experienced those houses and their buildings in their land and saying they're only repeating their land because that's what they're used to. And then we started in Fountainhead, and a few others who followed me with me in the thing, changed the attitude of people and brought. Sometimes we don't care how the elevation looks as long as the internal spaces are not modified or something. So that's how it changed. Now the next question that comes to you is, I'm not even look at what is, what will be the next step of architecture? Can the evolution go to much higher level? As I told you earlier, technology has come unbelievable. The other day I was just sitting around with most of the builders and suppliers, they still think I'm in very high somewhere sitting. You know, when you drive to Suda, it's something very interesting. You've been to my cottage, so there's a new material. You don't know what I told him. It's only this thick. I said, fine. It can take any load and it can take this. Can you use it in the interiors? That's why I built that room when you walked in just to show him that these things can. He started scratching himself. I said, I want to show you this also can be done. I'm sure he'll go capture it and put it somewhere else. The materials people have gotten, but they don't know how it can be transformed into an architectural element. It requires a sense of art to look at this material. They do lovely wooden flooring, like many people, and then you cover it with carpets. I can understand one carpet here, one carpet there. Then why did you do the wooden floor? But then I have the reverse side. These people put a big, their material, white, beautiful, clean, neat. So I told me, where are all my paintings? She said, yeah, there's here. I said, stick all the paintings like a mosaic on this. And now that you got the new sticking gum.
Yeah.
I said, without that's where I like my youngsters. Sir, we'll bring you a gum. I said, what is this new technology? It defeats. I said, I was about to nail. No, sir, don't nail. Talk, they're stuck. I said, these are great artists so that you don't even damage their art. And here is a new material, again, technology can be fused into art to create. It became the background of the art. Like you remind me of going to classrooms. It is when the classroom starts, it's when the teacher or whoever it is starts sketching on the blackboard or whatever it is, or when nature, that is when something happens. When just talking doesn't get the moment the person sketches, something happens to you. Can it be done? This is when I started in, I don't know, UC started or which college I started. I don't know whether you've heard the story of this.
Tell us.
I think you would have heard. I'm not sure the UC or RVC. Yes, it's we want you to come and give a lecture on architecture, space and movement. I said, no, I don't. Students are there. Said they will pick you up and take you. I came. It was the day after Ganapati Puja. So my mother and my wife said, here's the Ganapati, that clay Ganapati. My mother came and said, take him and put him in the well. I said, can it be any well? She said, it doesn't matter any well, what does it matter, as long as you drop it in the well. I put it in the boot of my car. I took him. I don't know. I'm trying to remember one. I told one of the students was sitting with me. Sir, we want you to teach us how to look at design. I don't know what got into me. I said, told this fellow, that's why. I said, go to my car, open the boot. The boy or the girl who went there, I think some of them still remember this. Some of them call me, oh, you changed your way of looking at things. They brought the Ganesha. I said, there is a lake near the university. That's what I thought I would dump the person. And what came into my head, but then I asked a couple of students, what are you looking at? So it's a clay Ganesha. I said, what is that Ganesha? Explain. It's an elephant. He has got something in his hand. And what is he sitting on? On a rat. And what is that sitting on? They started explaining. And he's playing. One of them play flute. Some of them put their hands in. He's got 4 hands. Sometimes Nataraja also comes and puts it. I said, how do you explain this? Can an elephant sit on a rat? Can it move? So, I said, look at the back. The artist is bothered about the front. What is he showing at the back? No, nothing else. I said, now, doesn't Ganesha inspire you of an abstraction of human beings to some other level? That beautiful horns and beautiful thing. Now, how many of you have got guts to crush this Ganesha? Sir, can't go and tell me. You are willing to put it in the well. In the well, what it would have dissolved.
Yeah.
Now in front of me, it dissolved him. But I liked one of the girls were more religious about. She said, wait, sir, 2 seconds. She went inside, got some milk and poured over the Ganesha. Madam, you have now brought me the next level, I said. Sir, what? Now Ganesha has been charmed. So I went and said, now hit him on the head, hit him on the side, crush him, now create your space, what he wants to be. I said, now you understand that is creativity.
Right.
And Ganesha stands for creativity. That is where education starts, for them to look at something beyond what it is. That is very important. Nothing is what is.
Man, we can go on and on.
We can go on. Like, there are so many things that I want to be curious about because he's got stories, right?
Yeah.
And he's a brilliant storyteller.
I think we should sit and write a book with
no,
him.
can I?
Yeah,
Can I?
yeah.
If you're done?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Sir, how did boxing happen? When did boxing happen?
Oh, gosh. Dangerous, sir.
Nobody's spoken about boxing in any of the podcasts.
Really?
Yeah. No, I mean, not in our podcast, but in any of the recordings
I
that I
only
saw.
go by memory.
Right,
I may not be correct in.
right.
I had another architect friend in School of Architecture in Madras who was a great boxer. Said, we want to do a boxing thing in our the Gindi College of Engineering. He liked the way. He said, can you design a boxing ring? I said, fine, but I should know what boxing is. He said, come. So went. They gave me the 2 gloves. Wrestling, those days, that great Superman wrestler, forget his name.
Indian guy.
Indian.
Dara.
I went, it made me took. I never knew he would be say I should have. So that is wrestling. You can touch the other fellow's body and hold. Here you can't touch the other fellow. In fact, if you touch more than a particular minute, you will be thrown out. So that's when I started wrestling. What height, how you can't jump out, or if you can jump out, it's foul. You stand in which corner. I started designing the ring, but by learning boxing. But when I took the gloves home and said, my mother said, no, you will not get into hard.
So that's how you got into boxing, but your mother boxing out of you.
Boxing out of I said, it is then she can do it. One day you'll get hurt. As it is, I lost a little bit of the drum.
In boxing?
In boxing.
Right. But that's a fascinating story as well.
Yes.
The other curious thing that we found out about you were permanent or lifelong member of WWF. And we don't mean the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. We mean the World Wildlife Fund. How did that happen? And how did your love for animals?
I was designing part of the Madras Zoo.
Right.
That's when I talked about how we should let the animals move around rather than tie a thing. At the time, I don't know who came into my life. I'm trying to remember. So we want you to walk into a wildlife place. I don't know whether it's near. One place they won't let me know where it is. I'll tell you why. They put me in a van.
Avalanche?
No, they won't tell me anything. They put me in a van, closed the van so that I wouldn't know where I was going. They said, we don't want you to know where we are taking. Even the driver will change after half the way. Amazing. Because this driver should not know whom he is taking. That driver should not know who's. Even some of us don't know where. Only 1 or 2 of us know, but we are on the total.
You sure you weren't getting kidnapped?
I was worried, but then in those days I didn't care. My car, and I didn't care a damn. I didn't go to the story of aerospace and all. That's another story by itself.
Right.
Arunachalam would kidnap you. Take the helicopter and come. Said, I am not qualified. Shut up. Sit in the cabin and fly. So I would go. I don't know, it was Andhra Pradesh border or which. So I don't remember. It's a huge land. People are throwing away many animals everywhere. We have to create a wildlife center. And we want it to be friendly to the wildlife and Indian wildlife. Elephants, tigers, panthers. We want them to live together and yet make sure they don't frighten each other, whatever. I said, I can't do that. You can do. Then we created a lake. Then the heights on the mountains, because they all like greenery. The elephants had a path. The wild elephant, the big fellows had huge ears. I know. The African elephants even worse. And they would get some 1 or 2 elephants from the lion is basically from some parts. Some of them, the leopard, panther, something was also from outside. They would get this, make these difference there. They brought a lot of wildlife. After some time, as long as they found their own green to eat, they never bothered the other animal. This we learnt, except carnivorous, but they were fed separately to eat. The elephants and go put the bananas, put the leaf, and hit the other fellow. And the fellow who's sitting on the top, what do you call him?
Mahat.
Mahat. He would come. He would make me. I said, I can't. No, sir, come. The elephant will know. He'll be very gentle. The first time I was, I said, don't sit on the back of the elephant. Sit on the neck of the elephant. It would climb down and look at you as if you're new. But after it got used to it, would lift you by the trunk and put you on top. It scares me. I'll never forget. Then it will go. Even the lion would look at it. I said, don't worry. He's not going to harm you. That nose is not going to harm you. It would cross the that's wildlife. It is a beautiful space. I don't know whether it still exists.
Right.
It was a very fascinating. Monkeys, pharaohs. Once after the lake and the trees, the eagles started coming. The other beautiful big fellows started coming. We saw when Suvida also created the lake. Fish, their thing, lots of things. Fish is another phenomenal. When we did the oceanarium, we're bringing other men.
Have you dived?
I was forced to dive under the submarine. I told you, go down, see the whales. When we did this whales, I've never seen a shark. Don't go near. It won't harm you till you harm itself. But the whales are very trained. They were like elephants. You could sit on them. And but one of the things, they would make me wear that breathing. Because after you grow 30 feet below the water,
right,
the breathing becomes difficult. Up to 30, he said you can't take the breathing. But some of the divers would dive and they're used to it. 30 feet beyond that, it's like going up a knower here, too much air. I never thought of this. This is when architecture in me changed also. How each space and each height is different from the other. Breathing in Bangalore, people didn't like Bangalore in the beginning because it's also beautiful. It was not good for your health.
Yeah, a lot of people had issues.
Even now, breathing becomes a health thing. It's difficult to tell people, but lovely weather.
So I think we'll stop it here. Because knowing Jaisim sir, we can go on for days together talking and listening to his stories. They're really fascinating and amazing stories. I didn't know an architect can have so much adventure, being taken everywhere, kidnapped, put every. So I think it was amazing. We would definitely love to do this one more time. Maybe sometime soon.
I have an idea. Why don't we put in Arun Swaminathan and Jaisim in an evening?
And
we go there in the afternoon
and
record.
Them.
Listen, you don't drink. You're pointless. From that point of view, I'll get and we have a great weekend together.
The podcast will be there. We'll just record them. So I think that will do.
Will that make sense? Will you be a part of it? Perfect. So he's driving us back home after that. He doesn't. We are going to have a party.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
This is deal done. Perfect. We just have to look for a good venue which does not bother us.
Maybe some place.
One of their houses is first what I'll go ahead and
have houses. See, the moment you get into a house, what you did, space controls you. Get into a space we have not been.
We'll figure that out.
I think that will be a better suggestion. We'll learn a bit there as well.
We also learn, you also learn. We look at something, looks different. Oh, it's how nice. One of the finest buildings I've done is for the Todas.
Right. Tamil Nadu, the Toda community.
The Toda. They're brilliant, but people teach them like slaves or something. Oh, brilliant people. What they know, they know.
Have you been inside one of those Toda huts?
I stayed.
Nice. I've seen them. I've never...
Very nice.
This actually tells me that I need to be a lot more adventurous if I have to.
You must.
His stories are so amazing.
Yeah.
So I think let's stop it here. Right. Thank you so much, sir, for doing this with us.
You brought back too many memories, and we'll give this great one. I'll bring more memories.
And I think we'll look forward to that conversation with Arun and Jaisim, sir.
Yeah.
So, but for now, we'll stop it here. Thank you so much for doing this with us. Thank you for finding time out, coming on a Sunday.
Sunday is the best day.
So, and we hope that you enjoyed this.
I love the pleasure getting memories back, writing back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for finding time and sharing your stories with us. We want more of this, and we will do what we just discussed. Right?
I hope one day I get to listen to all this.
You will.
On live.
You will. Yeah. we will keep you posted on that as well. Let us know what you think about our conversation with Jaisim, Mr. Krishnarao Jaisim. If you like it, share, subscribe, let others know what we are doing. Thank you.